everybody. It's another special edition of the Christie Taylor Show. Be sure, because we are streaming live, to ask questions, drop those comments, and look, okay, I'm a little excited. I'm a little geeked. My guest today is La La Land. And for those who know in Memphis, I had a chance to, put my toe in the water for a nice little minute out in LA. So it's always good to talk to creatives from the West Coast. Maryam Myika Day, welcome to a special edition of the Christie Taylor Show.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. And this energy is giving me everything I need. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And you're already getting love. You can feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to drop those comments and all that good stuff. And I really want to kind of get into who you are. Now, I read your bio, but, for the sake of allowing people to kind of get a bird's eye view of who you are, just kind of give me where you were born and how you began this creative journey that we're going to talk about today.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a New York native, born and raised in Harlem stand up. I actually began my journey in the creative space as a dancer. Not many people know this, but I started off as a classical ballet dancer at the Dance Theater of Harlem. Arthur Mitchell was my mentor, and he guided me through my life as a young child through my teenage years. After doing dance and really pursuing that as a career, dance all over the world at different dance companies, I landed a Broadway show called 42nd Street. So I was one of three African-American women, I should add, to that show in 2001. And we won the Tony Award for Best Musical. So I had an opportunity to perform on Broadway. I've done the Thanksgiving Day Parade many times. David Letterman, I don't know if people remember that, but there was a late night TV show, talk show, David Letterman show, Rosie O'Donnell. So I did a lot of what would be considered the quintessential Broadway appearances, if you will. And I transitioned from doing Broadway into the television space as an actor. So I did Law and Order, a show called Rescue Me at the time, all the New York shows pretty much. And then I took my kind of leap of faith to Los Angeles and started working as a writer in Los Angeles. I did a little bit of a transition. What I learned is that it wasn't a lot of roles for people who look like me, for African-American women. So I decided to create the space for myself. Fortunately, I had some luck because, you can't do this gig by yourself. You need people to believe in you, to believe in your craft and really push you forward. So I was able to connect with a woman named Kat Graham. She was the star of The Vampire Diaries. Yes. She was looking for a writer to do her project, the Tammi Terrell biopic, and she gave me a shot. So I wrote that. That's kind of how I started into the Hollywood space, had my first opportunity with her, and it's been uphill ever since.
Wow. Can I say, wow, sis?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In deep diving about you, I totally missed the dance part. I do know that you started on Broadway, that you having done on and off Broadway, then moving into the TV film space as a writer. But how did dance prepare you for this bigger life? Because that's a totally different animal all together. Can you kind of just dive into that for us, if you would?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I want to just say and stress that I have amazing supportive parents. Both my mother and father really saw that I had an interest in dance and allowed me to pursue that dream only if I kept my grades up. So dance allowed me to really pursue my passion, but also taught me discipline. To be a ballet dancer really is something that you need to not only commit to, but really throw yourself into. You have to make sure that you're weighing properly, that you're eating properly, that you are treating your body as the temple that it is in order to really perform. And I had an opportunity to be exposed to that at a very early age. So dance really gave me the foundation to be able to be the writer that I am today, because it's the discipline. When you write, you have to write every day. Writers write. When you dance, you have to dance and really be committed to it every day. I had a full career as a dancer. I have my degree in dance, my college degree in dance. I danced for a company in Denver and Philadelphia. I danced for Philadanco. So being able to be this profound instrument, this tool, like an athlete, it trained my mind to be able to use that same kind of abilities and craftsmanship to my work.
First of all, I just had a second fan moment. I'm already fanning over you, sis. I'm just letting you know right now. But when you said Philadanco, okay, everybody knows Alvin Ailey, which
Yes.
speechless on that. But
Yes.
Philadelphia, I loved it because of the diversity, not just of the dancers, but of the sound and the movement. It's a
Yes.
different type of dance troupe, and I had a chance to see it when they came here a couple years ago. To the
Hmm.
Germantown Performing Arts Center, and I fell in love with Philadelphia. So, wow, a second wow on
Yeah.
you, okay?
Well, thank you so much. And
Now,
shout
what?
out to Joan Myers Brown, who the company director. She's been in this game for, as long as anyone can remember. Shout out to
Wow.
her for really giving me the tools I needed to succeed. So yes, Philadelphia. Hmm.
Wow. Well, you know something, I'm really loving your artistic journey and the fact that you've committed to it. And, some people can start in this space, but don't make a life out of it. And so celebrating you for that. And then celebrating the fact that you decided to veer into television,
Yeah.
and more so as a writer. Why writing? Okay, of course, you're an actress, an actor as well. But why did you decide? I know you said because some roles weren't there, but that's a different discipline, than the acting bug. So
I
what
think,
really fed that?
you know, um, I think the bug really kind of, you have the bug, but it doesn't really plant and germinate until something happens to you.
Yeah.
When I actually had the opportunity to write Tammi Terrell's biopic, I don't know if many people know her story, but Tammy was a woman who was overcoming insurmountable odds. She was a woman
Mm,
at a very young age who really wanted to have one thing and one thing only. She wanted to be a star. And she
yeah.
did everything that she could, surrounded herself with whom she needed to be surrounded with, and really went for her dreams. And I think her life kind of paralleled mine in some ways because I
Okay.
also had a dream that I wanted to fulfill, and I knew that I had to do it come hell or high water. So why did I choose to be a writer? Because when life happened to me, I had something to say, and I didn't have the flexibility and the agility as an actor to tell my personal story on the page. So writing gave me the liberty to be able to do that. And to be honest, I don't know if there's any actors in the audience today, but when you're a writer, you have more access. You have
Mm-hmm.
more of the opportunity for the doors to open to you. As a writer, I was able to sit in rooms that I would never be able to sit in as an actor. As a writer, I was able to sell stories and tell my own personal journeys to executives who could greenlight ideas that I had. So, writing gave me an opportunity to see the other side of the business, but also become the captain of my own ship. So, that's why I chose to do that.
Miriam, I'm glad that you kind of brought in the industry aspect of being in the room. Um, what is the difference for those who may be watching, whether now or in replay? Is the switch between being just a talent, going for gigs, and actually being on the creating side, creating the job opportunities? Can you give us a little insight into that, please?
Sure. Well, number
Mhm.
one, I make it sound easy. It is not easy. Let me just start by saying that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, I think first, if you're deciding to become a writer, I think that you need to really drill down on your craft, really drill down on your
Mhm.
abilities to tell good story. There are many people who are writers all over the world, all over the country. Everybody's trying to get their thing seen and made, but yours has to be different from the rest of the pack. So you really have to identify and really just have the talent and the skill set to really stand up above the crowd. And then
Mhm.
once you have that piece, that script, that idea, you need to be able to find someone who can champion your work. And I think that for me, I was lucky. I had Cat Graham, and
Okay.
then I got a manager, and that manager championed my work, and then my attorney, he championed my work. And then you begin to be introduced to the town. So, but it all started with the script. If I
Mhm.
had a trash script, no one would give me any play. And that's
Right.
real talk.
Right.
So, what I would say is that it really boils down to how serious are you about your work and really making sure that it's the best piece of material that anyone will ever see. And then once they get excited about it, then that's when the journey begins.
Wow. Going back to Tammi Terrell, as a woman, was that the '70s, who was also blazing her own trail? What were some of the life lessons that you learned as you researched? Because that's another thing. Because I have a produced screenwriter credit too, and I know that when it gets into doing research, a lot of people as writers don't go deep and it's very
Yeah.
shallow in the work. What are some of the things that you learned about Tammi Terrell in the research process that really helped you shape the script?
I think one of the key things, and really the foundation of the story, is the fact that Tammi really wanted her father's approval. Her relationship with her father was really the thing that drove her ambition, and for him to accept her as the performer. Remember, Tammi Terrell was very young when she started in the business.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was teetering between 16 and 17 years old. She died at 24.
I didn't know
So
she was that young.
she was very young, very, very young,
Wow.
and had so
Whoa.
many experiences that
Yeah.
a young adult would, she had at a teenager. So
Yeah.
to be able to have her father's approval was really the
Mhm.
thing that she sought. And not to mention, she chose
Yeah.
men, father figures in her life who, ended up abusing her. So I
Yeah.
think for me, the lesson is that, yes, follow your dreams, pursue your dreams, be smart about it though. Find a
Be
way to do
smart.
it where it's not, killing you on the inside, if you will.
Now, Miriam, you are a part of an industry that we all know is male dominated.
Yeah.
The Me Too movement has brought to light a lot of things that those of us who've been in these entertainment streets have known for decades. How have you purposely and strategically navigated those waters?
Trial and error, to be honest. When I was a young person coming up in the business, I didn't have a voice. I didn't know how to use my voice. And the Me Too thing was not a thing, so you had to play the game, play the role. Again, I was an actor coming up first, so I was at a disadvantage because I needed people to give me an opportunity. And the shift for me, when that happened and really understanding how to navigate it, is when I decided to change my role in the industry. I became this writer, I became this producer, and I was able to dictate how I wanted to be seen. Now that the Me Too movement is established, and there's a thing, I speak up. I don't
Yeah.
let people or situations dictate how I want to be presented in the industry. And if I
Mhm.
feel like there's something that is happening that is not above board,
Right.
I just go the other way. Because I feel like just because someone invites you to an argument, and that's proverbial argument, doesn't mean that you need to participate. So I'm
That
hopeful
is
that
so
that
true.
makes sense. Hmm.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And I like the fact that you said beyond even being a writer, you've moved into the production space. And for those who may not understand, kind of give them an idea on what that entails, being a
Yes.
producer in this space, because you're also a Telly Award-winning producer. So we're going to definitely touch on that. So how did you get in? What made you put your toe in that water?
I'm always looking for ways to experience the industry differently. And after 42nd Street, I was out of job and I didn't have any money and I had a mortgage. So I was like, okay, girl, you're going to go to this Barnes and Nobles. I don't know if they still have Barnes and Nobles in some
There's
places.
a few.
And,
There's one or two left
right.
in Memphis.
Okay. And then I read a book on how to produce, and the book was literally entitled Project Management for Dummies. And I just took a deep dive in this book. And now this was back in 2005 or so.
Okay.
And I learned, and I put myself in a situation where I was going to sink or swim. I had my first job in advertising. I was an advertising digital producer. I ended up transitioning to doing commercials and television and advertising. And I learned on the job. I do not have any formal film school training. My training happened in the trenches in New York City, teaching myself, learning how to do the gig. And I feel like there is a lot of virtue and value in that. And I was young. I was young enough to pick up things and young enough to learn. So I became a producer in the digital space, in the advertising space. And then when I figured out how to do that skill set well, I jumped to independent film and started working on movies and movies, feature films in New York City. And then once that switch happened, I decided, okay, I think I want to try television. So I started working for a company who, to their credit, two women running this company.
Okay.
Ingenuity is something to describe these women and how they sold placement, advertising placement for a television show that was sight unseen. We hadn't even shot the television show, and in doing that and following their lead, we were able to produce this television show called Real Moms, Real Stories, Real Savvy. And at that time, there was no one in that space, no one talking about mothers, and particularly birthing mothers in that new kind of mom, like
Yes.
all of that. No one was doing that at the time. And as a result of really just being a segment producer, really drilling down to the stories, telling real stories about real women all over the world, we won some accolades. And thankfully, I was able to win 3 Telly Awards. I will say 3 Telly Awards.
Wow.
And I'm really proud of
Congratulations.
that. And that show
Yeah.
ended up being sold to Disney. So it was a great experience. And again, boots on the ground, learning as I go, and just really having a level of excellence as it pertains to how I approach my work.
You know, Miriam, I'm actually a lot of people, because my background is radio, and I've always had a fantasy for television and film, but people don't know that that commercial space can be very lucrative. Number one, let's establish
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Can be very, very lucrative. And I know you do some voiceover work, so shout out to you on that. But a lot of times filmmakers really could cut their teeth in the advertising marketing space.
Yes.
Micro, because basically you're doing micro films, and if you look at a Super Bowl commercial, which is can be $1 million commercial,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
a 60-second movie, in many cases 30 to 60 seconds. And if you can learn storytelling from that perspective, it can
And
be go ahead.
no, and I was going to say, to your point, a
Mhm.
lot of filmmakers, television and filmmakers who you see in credits on your favorite shows or favorite movies in this industry also do commercials. That is not only a bread and butter, as you mentioned, but it's also a space to continue to do the work, to practice, to be better. When you go to some of these commercial sets, they're just as big as any TV movie, television show that you've seen. So that is really the place for me that I kind of built up my muscle with regard to producing. And then also, that was an opportunity for me to build my Rolodex, because um, this genre of work, we all know each other. We all depend on each other to make things happen. So it was an opportunity for me to continue to build my Rolodex and move forward in my career.
Now, Miriam, speaking about moving in that space and having that Rolodex, and for those old school, that means the contact list in your phone. How have you been able to find additional success or challenges, specifically as a woman of color, moving in these streets? Oh,
I will
come
tell
on now,
you, I
come
took a
on.
breath. I mean, I still have a ways to go. I'm gonna be honest. I would be considered a writer who is on the way up. I have produced writers credits, which I'm very grateful for. But sometimes people, particularly studios, they don't always have the confidence in someone like myself. So they will give you the opportunity, but then there's a caveat. They'll give you the opportunity, but then there's a little, sleight of hand. And the beauty about my journey is that I've been given tremendous space to do my work, tremendous opportunity to meet amazing executives who support me, whether things turn out the way that I want them to or not. So I'm grateful for that. And I think that everyone's journey will be different. But what I'm trying to do is to stay humble, keep my head on the page, write every day, and just do the work. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, the work. So that's where I'm kind of putting my focus on.
Wow. So as a writer, because I want to start kind of stay in that lane, because you're inspiring me. Because I'm gonna tell the truth. Those who know me in Memphis, some of them know that I've done some writing, and I
Yeah.
kind of serve more so in that script consulting space. Helping others. Making sure their stuff is nice and neat. However, when it comes to writing, do you find yourself leaning to a certain genre, or are you, like
Mm.
strung across all the boards? Because that right there. Ugh.
I find myself in the thriller, dramedy space. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, I tell stories about women overcoming insurmountable odds.
Okay.
So that kind of gives me the space to fall in that area. I also think that comedy is drama, because when you're going for something and when you're serious about it, and all the stakes are high, sometimes that can be funny. So, and life's
That's
kind of,
true.
it's true. And so,
Mhm.
I try to stay in that space, but add a little levity to things, because the truth is, we don't want to slit our wrists watching shows. We want to really feel good about what we're watching, and at least identify with some of the characters that we see on screen. So that's kind of what I do and where I want to live.
When it comes to working with producers and directors, do you have your own production company? Are you still in that space, or are you, partnering with other production companies at this time?
Well, I do have my own production company. I've been working with my own company since 2002, which has been amazing. I
Congratulations.
also, thank
Yeah.
you very much. And I've
Mhm.
also been partnered with other production companies, other producers, where it makes sense. I
Mhm.
think in my early career, and maybe this is something that someone can take, a piece of advice, is that I would always say yes to everything. Oh, yes, I'll do that. Oh, yes, sure, I'll partner. But as you get older, you realize that every partnership and all money is not good money. So what I've decided to do with opportunities that come to me, I use a little bit of discernment and say, okay, is this getting me closer or further away from my goal? And
Mhm.
that's kind of how I kind of balance and measure whether or not this opportunity makes sense for partnership, collaboration, etc.
Wow. You know something, every relationship may not make sense, but I know as a working writer who also still acts, you find relationships like with NBC and FX.
Hmm.
How do you keep those relationships where you're ending up on This Is Us as Dr. Meyer?
I'm so
Mhm.
grateful. I have a great team. I have an amazing team who respects that I'm a writer as well as an actor. They
Okay.
don't limit me. They send me out still. I have a great group of people who I can connect to and keep communication with. I've been in the business for over 20 years, so I have my own personal relationships with a lot of casting directors, producers. So when my headshot comes across their desk, they're like, yes, bring her in. So This Is Us came to
Wow.
me by way of another show that I auditioned for called Black Monday on Showtime. It was the same casting director,
Yes.
and that same casting director knew me from my Broadway days. So you never know how
Never
things
know.
happen, how they
Wow.
come around, and I was on Broadway 20 years ago. So relationships always kind of come to fruition. Just got to keep toiling that soil, watering that plant, and things will happen.
I had a quick question. A lot of what you were doing, and it's some personal things that you have in your storyline. Which let me say, I love your website. Can I say, I want, honey?
Say it.
Kudos to your honey designer, because I do a little
Yes.
bit, baby.
Yes.
Your story, yes,
Yes.
they do you right. They do you right. So be sure
Thank
to
you.
check out her website, ladies and gentlemen. But when it comes to still working in front of the camera, even though you're a writer producer, I find that you have strategically placed your work at very women centric or family oriented, I'll say, platforms.
Hmm.
OWN being one. Can
Hmm.
we talk about that relationship and that project?
Yes. Yes, we can. So, first of all, what a blessing it is to tell stories and to tell stories about women who look like us. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I had a relationship with an amazing producer at MarVista Entertainment. She actually
Mhm.
took me out, myself and a friend, on another project that didn't go. So we stayed in touch, and they were looking for Christmas movies, and I did not have a Christmas movie to pitch, but I came up with one, and we pitched, and she didn't like it. They didn't like it. We were partnering. MarVista was partnering with OWN at the time, and
Okay.
OWN had not gotten to that Christmas movie space.
Right.
So I had 24 hours to come up with a new idea, and of course,
Mm.
that's what I did, and they loved it. And one of the things that you'll find in my work is that I always will talk about some piece of my own personal life will find its way into the work that I do. So
Right.
this story is about two women who lost their mother, and they are trying to rekindle or rediscover their love for Christmas. Their mother died around the time of Christmas. My personal story is I had a child at 40 years old, and my husband passed away 8 months after that during the time of Christmas. And so, what I wanted to do was to create a space where we can explore what life and death looks like during a time of holiday, and just really during a time of when the family is breaking down, when they should both be coming together. And so I had a great experience. I was able to not only revere the idea of sisterhood, I got to throw in the fact that these girls are from Harlem.
Yeah.
So that was the piece for me that was really like the cherry on top. So yes, A Sisterly Christmas premiered on OWN back in December of 2001. It was a 2-year effort. I sold the idea during the pandemic, like right when the pandemic happened in March. And so it took us March, I think that was 2020. So it took us some
Yes.
time to make it
Right.
happen. And it did. It happened.
And it happened with a young lady. For a second, I lived in Detroit, well, about 3 or 4 years. The Winans, Deborah Joy
Mm-hmm.
Winans, who of
Yes.
course did a marvelous job. She's done Broadway as well,
That's right.
stage
Such a
work, but
talent.
such
Such
an
a
amazing
talent.
talent. And for those
Mm-hmm.
who may remember her, she was on the TV show that was also on OWN, that my mom religiously watched. Oh my God, how come it's
Greenleaf. She was on
yeah,
Greenleaf.
yes, because I have to binge. Yeah, Greenleaf.
Mm-hmm.
And one reason why I always struggle with that is because many people always said they believed it was based on a spiritual family based in Memphis. So
Oh,
yes,
okay.
there's always been controversy because, of course, it was a Memphis-based story, and there has been rumors that it was actually based on a very well-known religious Black family here. So Deborah Joy Winans. So I know she
Listen.
did fabulously well, and
Yes,
her
she
relationship
did.
with Own thickens as well. So what do we have? Because you have the Tammi Terrell story. Where is that going to land, or has it?
Right now, it hasn't landed yet. We're still
Yeah.
in pre-pro with that, and so thankfully that will be coming soon.
Mhm.
Again, Kat Graham is such an amazing talent, and she's really driving that train. So I'm looking forward to seeing that come to fruition, and we'll have to come back here and talk about it if
Yes,
that's
honey, you
okay.
better. You better.
Okay.
So, okay, so Miriam, and I first of all, can I say I love your name for the
Yes, you
record? For the
can.
record,
Yes.
what are some of the other things that we want to make sure the audience knows that you're working on right now, and that we can look
Mhm.
forward to in 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, I'm excited to let your audience know that I have a new project that I've worked on as a part of the writing team for TD Jakes. The show is called Wrath. It's a Lifetime original television movie, Wrath, Seven Deadly Sins, based on a book by Victoria Christopher Murray, who is also a soror of mine. This
Wow.
story is a part of the Seven Deadly Sins series. They had already done, I believe, Envy and Pride and Wrath
Yes.
and Greed are the second installments, and that's going to be airing on April 16th on Lifetime Television.
Wow. How do you
Mhm.
stay in this industry connected to the movers and the shakers? Like, what is your advice to those trying to move in these waters?
I will tell you that
Mhm.
I was able to work on this project because of a relationship I formed 5 years ago. It's all about relationships, and you have to nurture them, and you have to show up, and you
Mhm.
have to always put your best foot forward. And so I
Mhm.
never would have gotten a chance to write on this project had I not did this pitch for another
Yeah.
show that I was trying to get off the ground 5 years ago. So that's how I do it. I try to
Okay.
keep my name is a very
Yeah.
important thing. You keep your name clean
Yeah.
and you
Ooh,
do the work.
hold on.
And you do the
Pause,
work
rewind. Pause and rewind. Keep your name what?
clean. Keep your name clean. When they hear your name, you want to know that people
Yeah.
will associate it with good thing because they're
Yeah.
not just hiring you. Yes, the work is important. I mean, excuse me, they're not just hiring you for the work. Yes, the
Yeah.
work is important, but they also are hiring you. They want to know that you're the person that they will be in the trenches with for the next 12 to 16 months. So,
That's right. That's right.
mhm,
I
mhm.
love that. The advice that you're giving is timeless. I mean, with you having been in this industry since dance, since Broadway, television, acting, and now writing for projects of this magnitude and more, we're going to be seeing your
More is
name.
coming. More is
More
coming.
is
Mhm.
coming. I'm grateful for that. I have to, because I did radio for so long. One of the things I saw in your bio, I was like, I gotta ask about this. You also was a vice president for SAG-AFTRA, uh,
Yes, I
honey.
am.
So, oh, you
Mhm.
still are.
I
Okay.
am.
So tell me about that.
Well, so I am very active in my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I have a very, very close associate and soror in the organization, Miss Shirley Ralph.
Oh,
Shirley
okay.
Ralph called me and said, I need you to serve. I said, okay, Sora, whatever you want. She just got elected as the local vice president of SAG in California, in Los Angeles, and she was forming her committees. And so a part of that committee formation was she would be able to appoint certain people for election. And I was one of those people who she appointed. And I am happy to serve. I've been a member of SAG-AFTRA before it was SAG-AFTRA, when it was just SAG. I became a member back in 2001. It is a union that I am very proud to be a part of and to be able to serve my fellow union members. So yes, I am the vice president of the SAG-AFTRA local, and it's a very exciting time.
Wow. You know something, for those who don't know, voice work is extremely competitive, and oftentimes our voices are not heard in that space.
No,
at all.
And that's why I'm there. And that's why I'm there to be able to get that representation. And let me clarify, I am the vice president of the SAG-AFTRA LA Local Voiceover Committee. So I want to make sure I say that for clarification.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for that. And of course, that means that when it comes to television commercials, radio commercials, national brands, you're being, the whole committee is helping to guide that in those type of.
And we're steering all of that and really having the important conversations and allowing our union members to have a voice and to really, help us to go in the right direction.
So with that being said, and we're going to move from that, but as an actor, if you're interested, if you are SAG and you want to move into the voice over acting space, this is one of the divisions that they need to reach out to.
We're here. That's right. We're here. Reach out. The hope is that you can use some of our resources. We have tons of resources at the SAG-AFTRA building in Los Angeles, where you can do your own reels, you can do practicing, you can learn how to make your own stuff. So yes, we are here and we are available to assist you with any needs that you may have.
Wow. Maryam Myika Day, any last words before you go? Because I know you super busy. I mean, just hearing what you're doing, I'm like, well, you really carved out some time to sit with a sister.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad to be here, number one. And thank you for sharing your time with me. And the only thing I would say is that to continue to follow your dreams. I'm also a mom. I have a soon-to-be 7-year-old. And, I make time to do the things that I love, but I also make time to do the things that fulfill my spirit and soul. So be able to balance them all, but follow your dreams, but do it with the level of balance.
And with that being said, be sure to check out her website because she has a very special journal. I peeped your journal that speaks to that, about the balance and the dreams. So, and if you can pitch it real quick, you can tell them about your journal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a business called North of 40. Again, my husband lost him when I turned 40 and also had my child at the same time. And so that sparked me with this idea to really give people and provide experiences and talk about things that happened to me, because I'm sure if it happened to me, it happened to someone else. So North of 40 really is a podcast. It's a site, wearenorthof40.com, and it's a community where we're growing and learning about life's challenges, particularly milestones that don't look the way that we think they're going to look. So go ahead and check us out, join us, follow the podcast, rate and subscribe, and check out our shop because we do have some amazing gifts that will allow you to pivot when life gets challenging.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Maryam Myika Day. Be sure to follow her on her social and her website, which is beautifully designed. Let me say that one more time. And it's as beautiful as the spirit that we're speaking to right now. And thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge. And we're going to support you and look forward to the new movie.
Yes, April 16th. Thank you so much.
April 16th on Lifetime. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us right here on a special edition of The Christie Taylor Show.